Supabase is great, but there's a problem. If you're using Cursor to help build your databases, you'll run into a big issue. Cursor forgets what's in the database. It doesn't retain the structure, the data, or how everything connects, leading to constant errors. And that's frustrating. You have to keep reminding it what's inside, which slows everything down. Now, for those who don't know, Supabase is an open source alternative to Firebase that lets you manage databases visually without needing to set them up locally. It's powerful, flexible, and integrates well with AI tools like Cursor. But if Cursor keeps forgetting your database structure, what's the solution? I've got a really cool fix. Let me show you. Okay, so this is the database in Supabase, and you can see my tables and schemas. I have a folder schema and a notes schema, which are part of this Apple Notes clone I made for this demo video. The UI looks really nice. I built the whole thing in Cursor, and everything is working perfectly. The database updates correctly as well. For example, if I delete this note and go back to refresh, you'll see that the note is deleted. So everything is set up properly. I just used this as a simple example to demonstrate how the tool works and how I used it. Now let me show you what it is. Okay, so I'm here in Cursor, and these are my MCP servers. This is the Supabase server, which enables context transfer between database tables and the Cursor agent. If you want to learn more about them, you can check out our dedicated video. But don't worry about how to install it. I'll show you that later in the video. This is the tool you can use, and if you look here in the Composer window, you'll see the query tool being used by Cursor. What Cursor does is generate SQL files that you inject into the SQL editor in Supabase, where you can run your commands. However, from my experience working with Supabase, Cursor tends to forget what tables have been written. It doesn't retain context of what's been done. Since it lacks context for the data, it struggles to manage the database correctly, which is why this tool is really helpful. While I did integrate this using Cursor and added the MCP to it, there were some front-end issues that the Cursor agent wasn't able to resolve. What actually did the job was windsurf. Moving forward, I'll be using the MCP servers with this instead because the difference really blew me away. Okay, so let me show you some screenshots from the Composer window to give you a better idea of what it was actually doing. Right here, you can see that after I ran the first command, it verified that the tables were correct. Now, some errors can arise, but because of this verification step, it was able to get the context and proceed accordingly. In this next screenshot, you can clearly see that it's verifying again and again. When I was debugging something, it even told me that the tables were empty based on the context and then inserted some placeholder data to test out the front end. And again, in this next screenshot, you can see it repeating the same process, verifying over and over. This makes managing databases in large projects so much easier and more efficient. If you're using Supabase, you definitely need to try this. Okay, so these are the docs provided by Supabase for the modern context protocol. Down here, you'll see that you can connect to both the local and hosted instances depending on what setup you have. For the local version, you can find the connection string by using the Supabase status command. For the hosted version, which I used, I'll show you the process. But in general, this is the command where to use. It requires the connection string. Other than that, you just paste the command with the connection string into Cursor, and it'll start working. For Claude Desktop, Client, or Windsurf, they've provided separate configurations that you can use. Now, where do you get the connection string? Here, I'm in my database settings. If I go back home, you'll see this is the Notes app. Under Project Settings, then Database Settings, the first thing I want to point out is that you'll find your password here. The reason I'm mentioning this is that you'll need it in your connection string. If you don't remember your password, just reset it from here. After that, go into the Connect tab right here, scroll down, and you'll find the Session Pooler section. This is your connection string. Just copy it, paste your password into it, and then use it in the command. Now, after that's done, your command will look something like this when combined. You'll notice that I haven't included the angle brackets that were around the connection string parameter, so make sure you don't include them either. Also, when entering the password, remove the square brackets as well, because you're supposed to enter the password without them. Once that's done, you can just go ahead and paste the entire command with your password into Cursor. Now here in Cursor, you'll notice that you can just add the full command. Let me actually show you how to add the MCP service. So here, you just add the server name, then the type, which is just going to be command, and then you paste the command down below. After that, you add it and it'll start working. But you'll notice that I haven't used the command I mentioned earlier. That's because I've put it in a script and I'm running it through Bash. You can do it either way. I just prefer this method. If you're wondering what I mean, let me show you. Here in the terminal, first, using touch, create a script and make sure its name ends with .sh. Once that's done, open it with any text editor, paste in your command and save it. After that, use real path. For example, I named my script run2. And what this does is give me the path of the script. Then I go back into Cursor, add bash in front of it, and paste the rest of the path. This is how I prefer to run the MCP service. You can see that I've done the same with the GitHub MCP as well. And that's pretty much it. Setting up the MCP server in Cursor keeps your database structure in check, so you're not constantly reminding it what's inside. It just works, making the whole process way smoother. If you're using Supabase with Cursor, definitely give this a shot. It'll save you a ton of headaches. Let me know how it goes, and I'll catch you in the next one.